Oh, got a little bit of bad news. Um, I'm going into immediate care this morning to get my ACL taken care of. The boss says he's going to go ahead and send me. That's not the bad news. That's the good news. The bad news is we had a 21 F150 come in yesterday with only 19,000 miles, and it was rattling on startup. After just a couple hours of sitting, and then it would go away. Just like the 3.5 cam phaser Rattle 2017 to 2020. Ironically, the 3.0 liter just was released for having rattle on startup as well in the Explorer. There was a service bulletin put out for that. And also the 2.7 liter in, I think, the Bronco and the Aviator, but there was no F150 involved. The F-150 that we got in yesterday was doing exactly what the Bronco and Aviator and the 3.0 liter twin turbo was doing. So Ford may end up having to add the 2.7 liter in the F-150 to the cam phaser rattle on startup deal. Yep. It's sad because, we've went from cam phaser rattle on startup to the 5.4 from the 5.43 valve stuff to the 4.63 valve stuff, and then further on, and then the Vulcan engines and everything were fine. We didn't have any of that problem. Very rarely do we get a cam phaser rattle on startup with the 11 to 14, 11 to 15, hell, 11 to 16 F-150s. They were pretty solid. If we had rattle on startup, it was typically a chain deal. Very rarely was it a phaser deal. Then come 2017 to 2020, the 3.5 liter F-150 EcoBoost would rattle like crazy. And they went through a couple generation changes before on the third generation change they finally got it. There was the original, then the second gen, and then there was a third gen. The third gen seemed to have fixed it. I haven't had any comebacks on the rattle after the third gen phaser was put in. Well, now we got 2020 and above, and we've got the 3 liter twin turbo that you find in the Explorer STs, and maybe like I don't know if it's the Aviator or something like that, the Nautilus or whatever it was. I don't know which one that comes in, to be honest with you. I think it's the Aviator. And it has rattle on startup now, but the 3.5 EcoBoost doesn't, like it did before. And then the brand new 2.7 liter EcoBoost has rattle on startup, which it never had rattle on startup, and now it does. The only solid engine from Ford since 2011 and hasn't had this rattle on startup crap has been the 5.0 V8. The inherent issue with that is 2008, or the issue that nobody talks about is 2018 to 2020 F-150s had a plasma line cylinder set up, and it would consume oil. So Gen 1 and Gen 2 5.0s were fine, but Gen 3 consumed oil. Every once in a while you'll get one with a timing chain or phaser issue, but very rarely do you get a 5 liter with any kind of problems at all. 2011 to 2017 were just solid freaking platforms, man. Never had a single issue with that V8. And then 18, 19, and 20 had oil consumption problems, but it would still run like a champ. They've always had that ping knock, octane knock thing going on, and then when you run higher octane, all of a sudden it goes away. So yeah, it's I wanted to get video footage of it. I started recording it yesterday, and I made the pre-video into the sound, and then when I got back from doing my parts run last night to fix that 1985 charging system on that Crown Vic LTD, the vehicle was already pulled outside. I was going to do a cold start for you guys and show you, but it's a 2021 F-150 2.7 liter EcoBoost with cam phaser rattle on startup. Just kind of worse than the 3.5 actually, it sounded. And then I went for my parts run, and when I'm out on my parts run, I stop at another dealership. Some of the guys recognized me or whatever, and I was talking to one of them individually, and he says, watch out for it. But he said over the last 2 months we've been replacing engines in the 3.0 liter twin turbo in the Explorers and the 3.3 liter Durtec, He said they'll come in and they sound like they got lower end rod knock and they're just banging and clanging like a son of a gun. And he said we put 5 engines in these vehicles now to get rid of it. And he said it's just out of nowhere over the last couple months. So watch out for that as well. And I was like, you know what, man? This is absolutely unreal. This is trash. That people have to deal and worry about this kind of stuff. And don't get me wrong, I know all these manufacturers are having problems. And I love working for Ford. But this is enough, man. Maybe you need to hire a whole different, I don't know what they call it, an R&D team or a quality control team or some kind of, maybe you need a whole new team to run this stuff because something is wrong here. Maybe you need to find a better team that can fit cheaper parts or things that are better in that budget to make things work, because this is just freaking unreal, man. And then word of mouth is, and I'm only going to say this because we're open to talk, that Explorer was released way too early off that assembly line before it was even ready. We're talking 9 months early. And I'm not going to talk about where I heard that from, but it was a pretty important person. And when we were speaking, it was told to me that when that Explorer was being built, and this doesn't have anything to do with the 2.7, this is the Explorer, this would be the 3.3 or the 3.0, whatever, that it was about 9 months too early. And that when the team was there kind of looking at everything, they had notified that it's just not ready. It's just not ready to be released yet, and they were released anyway. One of the truck drivers that dropped off Explorers at the dealership said, do you know how many thousands of these Explorers were called back and crushed because there was problems before they even made it to the dealership, which caused a backlog of vehicles that were going to the dealership before things were fixed? He said, do you know how many truckloads I was on my way to drop vehicles off and call back in the middle of it when they find out certain production numbers were in the midst of what they needed back to get rid of? I mean, I don't know what else to say, guys. Uncalled for. I mean, we got to do better than this. We have to do better than this. Is this a way to push out ICE engines? Is this a way to move to a different direction to make people so fed up and mad that that's what they accept? I'm going to work. I just wanted to let y'all know that 2.7 liter EcoBoost F150s are rattling as well on startup now. Well, the first one that we got is. We'll see if it keeps happening, because they have a service bulletin out on the Explorers with a 2.7 liter EcoBoost rattling on startup, and I think it's one of the other ones, the other SUV. I don't know if it's the Nautilus or the Aviator as well that goes along with it. I think there's more than one name in that technical service bulletin that I seen that run that 2.7 liter, and both of them were listed as rattling on startup. Replace the cam phasers, clear as day. It says replace the cam phasers. And now we had an F-150 in with that same engine that was not specified in that technical service bulletin at 19,000 miles was doing the same exact thing. Y'all be blessed. Take care. Have a great day. I know this is a lot to deal with, but it's the reality of my life in the dealership, dealing with manufacturing problems. That's what you're here for, right? Take care. Love y'all.